Kautilya is one famous political thinker from ancient India. He served as a chief minister to Chandragupta, who was a founder of the Mauryan dynasty. Chandragupta Maurya is none other than Ashoka's grandfather. And it was Chanakya, also called Kautilya, responsible for the education of Chandragupta. It was he who brought Chandragupta to power and established Mauryan dynasty. And Chandragupta first had successes against some of the satraps of the Alexander the Great, established west of Indus. So, west of Indus. And then after winning these areas, Chandragupta turned against Nanda Empire. Nanda Empire is this side, east of Indus. And then Chandragupta ruled over a large part of the Ganges and Indus Valley and part of Deccan. Okay. And it is Chanakya who, after his retirement, wrote one very important book called Ardhasastra. This is dated around 300 BC, but translated from Sanskrit only in the first decade of the 20th century by a Brahmin named R. Shamasastri. And this in English consists of 2 lakh words. Why is this called Ardhasastra? Ardhasastra refers to science of polity and wealth. More importantly, the meaning of Ardhasastra is that how it is different from what used to be called Dharmasastra. Dharmasastra used to deal with dharma and morals, and Dharmasastra also used to contain about polity and wealth and other matters. But Ardhasastra is supposed to be a specialization on polity and wealth. It is not that the polity and wealth were being discussed for the first time, but they were being discussed as like a separate discipline. Okay. It was just like at one time there was engineering, military and engineering and civil engineering, and then after that many other branches. So like that There used to be Dharmasastra, and then Ardhasastra, and then many other disciplines came afterwards. So this is how Ardhasastra is different from Dharmasastra. And Dharmasastra deals with certain timeless truths, and in an abstract form. There is no reference to historical events or current events. Okay, it's just a theoretical or a set of principles because of which one could read many centuries after it was written. And it was by this time state was formed. So Kautilya discusses in Ardhasastra the definition of the state and its various elements. The state is called Rajya. And Kautilya defines the state like this: no territory deserves the name of kingdom or a state unless it is full of people and controlled by an agglomeration of power with absolute authority over the territory. So, territory, people, there is a power controlled. Okay. For most of the historical time, people lived in stateless societies. But by Kautilya's time, states were formed. Okay. And Kautilya gives what he calls limbs of the state, anga or prakrit of state. By that he means that state can be thought of in terms of these elements. What are those elements? Swami, Amatyas, Janapada, Durga, Kosha, Danda and Mitra or Shatru. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And Kautilya said, this is the order of decreasing importance, which means Swami or king is the most important element of the state. Amatyas, ministers, second important. And third important is territory and population. Next, capital or fort. Next, treasury. Next, army. One interesting aspect of Kautilya's definition of state is that he included neighbor who may be a friend or an enemy is also a part of the state. So, what is next to your border or outside your border is also an important aspect of the state which the king should take care. That was Kautilya's point. And in his book, he takes up one element after another and explains how this particular element should be taken care of. What are the functions and how or when that element can become dysfunctional, and with that weakening the state. First element is king. King is the symbol of the state. So king is a very important element, and he should be very knowledgeable. He should study philosophy, Vedic lore, economy, polity. He should know the theory of various trades and professions. And that is not enough. He should have the ability to learn from the people. This is the knowledge component. Knowledge component. But he should have right kind of mind. He should have control over senses. He should shun vices like lust, anger, pride. He should be truthful. He should be righteous. Okay. And disciplined as well as energetic. So king was supposed to have all these very good qualities. And Kautilya says he should be from a noble family. Kautilya was always particular about Varna Dharma. Okay. And also family origins. If the king is from noble family, he is more likely to be respected by the social order. And what should king seek? Kautilya says, happiness of the king lies in the happiness of the people. Okay. And what is his aim? He is the preserver of Dharma. Some people compare Kautilya's king with Machiavelli's prince. There may be certain similarities, but going by a description like this, one can say Kautilya was expecting a great king, righteous king, and who thinks of the well-being of the people and who intends to preserve Dharma. But what he may need to do certain times to outsmart his enemies or outsmart his rivals within is a different issue. Kautilya might think that king should be in a position to do many strategies to retain power, but king otherwise is a man of righteous conduct and truth, interested in preserving Dharma. and settlement is about Amathyas. Amathyas refer to ministers to advise the king. King cannot do all alone. He needs the advice of efficient ministry. Here Kautilya is not referring to one or two ministers, but the term Amathyas refer to all high offices. It can be councillors as well as executive heads. And better if they are from noble family and indigenous origin. Indigenous origin will help a minister to know the customs, culture, and also his rule may be more legitimate. And ministers are supposed to be wise, gentle, capable, and should have good communication skills. And they should be properly tested before appointments. So, next to king, his advisors, backed with so much of knowledge and wisdom, are very important to maintain an efficient state. That is why Amathyas constitute second most important element of the state. And third is countryside. Janapada refers to territory versus and population. Countryside. Okay. This is full of villages. A village which has 100 to 500 houses and populated by Shudra peasants. And what are they doing? They are doing agriculture, contributing to huge source of income to the state. And king should encourage people to come and settle in old villages from other kingdoms or create new villages. And better if the land is endowed with mines, timber, elephant forests. And king should construct roads and maintain waterways, ports. Why? Because he has to make the economy as productive as possible so that it can have high level of taxes. So productive economy which increases tax income and which contributes to power of the state. And Durga, which means fortified capital, is fourth element of the state. Okay. In modern nations, we don't have fortified capitals. We maintain borders, but at that time, fortified capital was a very important aspect of security. And king would be there in a fortified capital. How would it be fortified? Kautilya says it could be because it was surrounded by water on all sides. Fort surrounded by water, or surrounded by mountain, surrounded by, or this is capital was on a mountain, or surrounded by desert or a thick forest, so that it is inaccessible to the enemy. Okay. So it is not that the entire kingdom is being protected, but it is just that certain fortified cities would be there. And to maintain all this, one needs to have money. So, kosha is one very important aspect of the state. It is said, where there is a king, there is kosha. Money is needed to maintain bureaucracy, army, even maintenance of fort. And money is needed to be able to stand the strain of expenditure during times of war or famines. So there should be enough of surplus in kosha. And what is the important source at the time? Agriculture. Farmers used to pay 1/6 of the produce. But there was manufacturing, and so excise duty, there was trade, so customs duty and port charges. What should be the principles of taxation? There should be equity. Kautilya says farmers and traders should feel that they are getting a fair deal, and taxation should not be heavy. Kautilya says, just as the bees collect honey from flowers without damaging them in any way, state should collect taxes. Or just as the way calf drinks milk without affecting the cow, king should collect the taxes. Okay. And sometimes to meet unforeseen situations like military adventure, special levies can be imposed. Okay. In such a case, donations can be raised. Rich men can do more in terms of donations, and king can give titles or honors in return of donations. These are the ways by which king would raise extra money. Even actors, singers, prostitutes are to pay half their income in an emergency situation, not in a normal situation. So, finances to Kautilya constitute fifth element of the state. And sixth element of the state is danda, which refers to army. Soldiers should be very good at war. Not only that, very importantly, they should be loyal to the king. Maximum should be from kshatriyas, but even the lower caste can join if they are brave. Okay. They should have the power of endurance, should be capable of undertaking long expeditions. They should be trained in weapons. They are given permanent placement, and so people selected like this would be given a permanent placement would be called standing army. Kautilya says even their family should be happy. So standing army is one very important aspect of the state. But Kautilya says standing army is not the only army possible. There are different kinds of armies are raised Sometimes hired and mercenary troops are raised. Troops from friendly states are taken, or deserters from enemy can be formed into an army unit, or some recruited from wild tribes. Okay. So Kautilya says that there are different kinds of army that can be used for different purposes, and they are different because they are consisting of different men. Their origins were different. So of all the armies, permanent standing army is the one that king depends most. And army is also divided into divisions, subdivisions, with its each own flag, trumpets and drum, so that each unit will develop its own identity and do its job well. And seventh element is Mitra, a dependable friend, is important. Okay, dependable friend outside the state. This friend can be a near relative, then he is a Sahaja Mitra, or he could have been acquired, Kritrima Mitra, or Prakrit, adjacent to a neighboring king, not a neighbor to you, but adjacent to a neighboring king. If neighboring king is your enemy, his enemy will be your friend. Kautilya discusses friendship versus enmity with many states and how it impacts foreign policy. So, seventh element of his state will be discussed more in detail. A good friend is one who is constant and himself powerful, sharing common interests, and can mobilize his forces to defend you, and he is not a man who double crosses. So it means a good friend is a man who is righteous, man of principles, and he won't cheat you or double cross you. So Kautilya wants king to choose his friends or assume friendship with lot of care and attention. So we will continue this discussion, but this is what is about Saptanga theory of